Meher Baba ki jai. Let's start with the seven realities. Shobji, go ahead.
Yeah, Avatar, Meher Baba ki Jai. The seven realities: existence, love, sacrifice, renunciation, knowledge, control, and surrender. I go. I give no importance to creed, dogma, caste, or the performance of religious ceremonies and rites, but to the understanding of the following. First, the only real existence is that of the one and only God, who is the self in every finite self. Second, the only real love is the love for this infinity God, which arouses an intense longing to see, know, and become one with its truth, God. Third, the only real sacrifice is that in which, in pursuance of this love, all things, body, mind, position, welfare, and even life itself are sacrificed. Fourth, the only real renunciation is that which abandons, even in the midst of worldly duties, all selfish thoughts and desires. Fifth, the only real knowledge is the knowledge that God is the inner dweller in good people and in so called bad, in saint and in so called sinner. This knowledge requires you to help all equally as circumstances demand, without expectation of reward. When compelled to take part in a dispute, to act without the slightest trace of enmity or hatred, to try to make others happy with brotherly or sisterly feeling for each one, and to harm no one in thought, word, or deed, not even those who harm you. Sixth, the only real control is the discipline of the senses, to abstain from indulgence in low desires, which alone ensures absolute purity of character. Seventh, the only real surrender is that in which poise is undisturbed by any adverse circumstance, and the individual, amidst every kind of hardship, is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Thank you, and over to you, Karthik.
Meher Baba, thank you. And let's continue with our uh, mega series. It's the longest series we've done. So, Rita read last week, correct? Am I audible?
No, last week you only had read the prayers, I think.
Uh, no. Okay.
Uh,
Find last reference.
Was this cross reference? Yeah, we had done this cross
Yeah, yeah,
reference.
we had done. Yeah, I had added this. Then
We
this is
stopped on
the
17th,
reading.
17th April. That's right.
Uh,
17th April के बाद में नहीं हुआ अपना शायद.
नहीं 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 हुआ है.
And I may
Is
be
it?
wrong. I may be wrong. Please don't mind. I'm uh, anyway. I'll just. Uh,
Then it's 17. Yeah. Okay. 17 plus 1. Correct. Yeah, I think it's 16th May. Okay. Let's continue from here. That's what confused me because it was saying April, whereas I know we uh, read last week. Okay. So let's start with page number 251 after the section. So the new section is Meher Baba that explains real work at Rajahmundry. Do you want to read for some time? I should.
Okay, I'll start. Is
Yeah,
my
please.
voice clear?
Yes.
Meher Baba explains real work at Raja Mundri. If you seek to live perpetually, then crave for the death of your deceptive self at the hands of complete surrender to me. This yoga is the essence of all yogas in one. Wow, thank you. This is really, I mean, I mean, significant. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll read it again, please. If you seek to live perpetually, uh, then crave for the death of your deceptive self at the hands of complete surrender to me. So, this is an extension of the real surrender which we read. Uh, this yoga is the essence of all yogas in one. As this message was being read out in Telugu, Baba called Mona Swami and asked him to sit before him. Baba repeated his previous order to the Swami. For 40 days, take 1 cup of tea and 1 cup of milk only. For 40 days and nights, no sleep, even if you go mad or die. If you say Baba, Baba constantly, everything will be all right. The Swami asked Baba where he could stay for those 40 days, and Baba replied, Kovur, at the place where the mass darshan was held. Don't let anyone bow down to you. Obey my orders wholeheartedly and honestly, and Baba will help you. Baba then told Koduru Krishna Rao, KKR, to provide the Swami with a cup of milk and a cup of tea daily during the 40-day period. When the Telugu translation of the message was finished, Baba remarked, from you Andhrites, Baba's dear ones in Andhra, I want nothing but love. It was now a little after 2:30 in the morning. The meeting had been in session since 9 the previous night. But these 6 hours had not just been a thrilling or memorable period, they had constituted one of the most moving events in my life. Baba declared that the meeting was now over and that all the workers and Mandali should go to bed. All hurried to retire so they could rest for a few hours and be fresh for the programs of the next day. No one of my Mandali is Baba. After leaving the hall, I hardly slept as the vibrant memories of what had just transpired kept me awake. And yet, Baba's presence was so enlivening that I felt quite refreshed the following morning, March 2nd. After an early bath, I did not feel at all tired as I approached the hall at 8 for the session. Baba had scheduled. Beloved Baba was already there as most of the Mandali and Baba workers of Andhra assembled. Baba looked fresh and resplendent as if he had just been on a holiday tour and had had plenty of rest. Yet, for all this, he was in a serious mood. He did not ask after our health or whether we had slept well as he usually did, but began getting down to business immediately. After looking about the hall, Baba bent his handsome head a little and his delicate long fingers began to move over his board. Summing up last night's proceedings, I want to make some points very clear. I have dissolved KDRM and officially I am not connected with any of the Andhra Mayor centers. For books and all other literature on Baba, you Baba lovers in Andhra are responsible, not I. What I really want is that those who love me and want to work for me should each become a Baba center. Karthik, if I may ask, what is the background of this message? Because there are so many uh, ardent followers in Andhra. Any
So
idea?
he described the real workers, and then he has said that he's officially disconnecting himself. So if
Okay.
you recollect, it was you and Ashish that read the last one. I was not part of that
Yeah, yeah.
discussion, and we merely went back and added the highlights and supplements. So I don't know what happened, but here he's talking about a dissolution of KDRM. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
may recollect if you recollect. Yeah.
I'll have to I have to re-listen to
Sure.
anyway. Anyway, it's interesting because the maximum number of good number, significant number of Baba devotees and lovers are from Andhra.
Yes.
Anyway, that's just I just read something. I just shared some of my thoughts. Last night I explained how those who can afford and those who cannot afford can work for me. Now, if you on your own open centers in cities, in towns, in villages, and in your homes, that is your concern, not mine. As I told you earlier, I will now have to work out alone my own program to break my silence. So I don't want to be bothered with correspondence. It may be mentioned here that ever since Pendu and Erich had first visited Andhra in November 1952, many centers had been opened by Baba lovers to spread his name and message to the general public. But in the enthusiasm to share the tidings of joy about the Avatar's advent, disagreements arose as to the best way of doing this. As a result, several devotees wrote letters to Baba explaining the situation and asking for guidance. Baba was busy with his inner work and did not wish to be disturbed. He had little time to spare for correspondence, including that pertaining to Baba work in Andhra. So here again, there is a dichotomy of duality and reality. We all get some some disputes and things. Anyway, I just read this again. Baba was busy with his inner work and did not wish to be disturbed. He had little time to spare for correspondence, including that pertaining to Baba work in Andhra. During the meeting, Baba had made it clear that he should be completely relieved of the outward details connected with his work in Andhra. Baba's skill in building and dismantling was unique, and he was able to use both methods as a means of awakening the hearts of his lovers. Baba continued, now this dissolution of KDRM and Andhra Mayor centers may create complications for those directly concerned regarding office, publication, etc. Therefore, I ordered Adi to help you clear up any difficulties. You can all, if you like, correspond with Adi, Erich, Pendu, and with any one of the Mandali. But I order them, the Mandali now, that not one word of the letters you write to them should be brought to my ears. So if any of the Mandali advises you when asked by you, don't take the advice as from me. You can trust them not to mislead you purposely, but after asking me for advice and help, you should also think about it yourself. For after all, the Mandali are not Baba. I will have no concern whatsoever with your offices or publications, whether it all goes on or is stopped. Even if KDRM on their own want to continue, I have nothing to do with it. You can add, subtract, or be zero. There may be one, many, or none involved in this work. I will have no concern with it. Let me see how you love Baba and how you work for Baba. I am everywhere and in you also to watch you. Now ask me something if you like. Venkateshwara Rao asked, what about our feelings on the spiritual path in following you? While saying this, he was on the verge of tears, which seemed to touch Baba, and he replied, I tell you that no one has failed me. You love me wholeheartedly. When love is not at its height, it always creates a mess. There is no question of anyone's failing. I am very happy with you all. As I mentioned last night, this is the first time I have held such a meeting for the divine cause. If only you had a little glimpse of my divinity, all doubts would have vanished and the love, real love, been established. But the illusion has such a tight grip that you miss reality. So, my divinity and reality are in capitals.
Yeah, it's Baba saying it.
Yeah, yeah, Baba saying it is. Want me to
Yeah.
read it again?
Yeah.
Second. As I mentioned last night, this is the first time I have held such a meeting for the divine cause. If only you had a little glimpse of my divinity, all doubts would have vanished and love, real love, been established. But illusion has such a tight grip that you miss reality. In 100 years, none of you will have the same body, and yet today you don't feel this truth. If yesterday's accident of KDR had taken away from this world, the present model which is in their minds would not be there. Looking at KDRM, Baba added, so KDRM think that you are dead and now on try to live only for me. V. Rao continued, Baba, we are prodigal children and not up to the mark. Give us help through Adi. Baba answered, let us be honest. Adi has been with me like the few tested Mandali for a long period, and he has been conducting office work for 20 years with 100% dedication. Even so, remember, no one of my Mandali is Baba. Everyone has got weaknesses and defects. Advice you can have from Adi, but not as from Baba through Adi. For many at that moment, the compassion behind Baba's severing external connection with his work in Andhra was not apparent. But eventually, some began to see that Baba's real emphasis at the workers' meeting was not on the severing of external connections, but on the assurance of his internal help with the hint to establish an inner link with him. I'll read this line again, Karthik, because there is some significant meaning, it seems. But eventually, some began to see that Baba's real emphasis at the workers' meeting was not on the severing of external connections, but on the assurance of his internal help with the hint to establish an inner link with him. So I have a question to both of you. How do we know whether we've developed an inner link with him? Karthik, are you there? Mamaji, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, yeah, I heard you. I was waiting for Mamaji to respond.
Yeah,
Any
yeah.
response,
No,
Mamaji?
no, the inner link, what is referred to here, it has to be an automatic link. It cannot be, say, just for a link's sake. You can just say, I have a link or things like that. It's a gradual process of union. So, how far we have achieved this is each soul's a path where they stay in the path. So, but I joined in the middle. I not able to connect completely, and also I may not be able to converse uh, effectively in surroundings right now.
So I just, yeah, thank you for that comment. I agree. It's a personal or a custom link, and then when you know its progress towards the union. I think this is a struggle that I have mentioned earlier as well. The choice or the determination of whether something is Baba's intuition and Baba's voice versus your own mental voice, your own ego's voice is something which all of humanity which has embraced Baba is going to struggle because you may think that you've established that contact and have a message which is intuition and carry it out. But the failure of not being able to have Baba in physical form, and rather the inability of not having Baba in his physical form to go and confirm if our understanding is right and if our interpretation of what we felt was intuition is right or wrong, is going to hurt some causes, some people's, some souls' causes and their journeys. Having said that, uh, I'm sure Baba has described intuition in many ways, the link between. So it's the voice that's the clearest, it's the voice that comes first, it's the voice that it comes immediately when you ask a question, and so on and so forth. So I think our journeys will be made more powerful if we are able to sharpen our link with Baba and learn to trust and learn to be answered by Baba, which is, I think it's beautiful that Bal Natu is interpreting this rather harsh decision of Baba disconnecting himself from the operations of the Agra centers into a spiritual moment. That he's saying that his way is different. He's trying to point us to our inner link. So, as a lot of the Baba world thinks, even COVID was one such effort by Baba to to help the world recognize how you can actually make contact with Baba and like with him directly and continuously all the time, which is what he has been saying all this. So my brief, rather non-brief comments. Sorry if I was long.
No, no, that it throws a perspective. So basically, you're saying different strokes for different folks. But my my question is still lingering in my mind, and because how do I know that what I am doing
There's
is
no
established thing?
there's no
There is
easy
no way.
answer.
There's
There's
no.
no
There's
easy
no
answer.
correct. Correct. So,
Yeah. So
but
it's a
but
personal determination, and please don't consult anybody.
no, no, I'm not
And
consulting. I
no,
just
no,
want.
I'm just saying in general, there is no use of consulting anybody because
Correct.
make your own determination and go with that. And then revisit and ask Baba again, right? Go and ask him again. And if you ask him with all your heart, he will answer.
Okay. Okay. That is a real solid uh, piece of advice. Thank you. And if I've interrupted the reading, it's because this thought came to my mind. I am also sorry to both of you because I interrupted the flow of reading. But anyway, Baba's breaking of his silence. Annapurnaya, the editor of Velugu, a Telugu weekly, on the spur of the moment asked, Baba, will the Andhra lovers be informed of the time and place of the breaking of your silence. Baba looked amused. With his characteristic smile and twinkle, he answered, "My dear Velugu, if this is what is meant by breaking my silence, I would be better if I don't break it." After a slight pause, Baba continued, "Just as I told you all last night, the powerhouse is to be switched on and all the bulbs connected with it will be lit up. So this will not be just here, but throughout the world. All will know, but bulbs, hearts that are fused will not give any light. That is why I have been telling you all to love me more and more. The time for the powerhouse to be switched on is so near that the only thing that will come out, that will count, sorry, now is love." Annapurna's question about the exact line of Baba's breaking his silence reminds me of an incident which appeared 22 years earlier in 1932. It is narrated by Jean Adriel in her book Avatar, published in Santa Barbara, California, USA in 1947. She writes, "Before going to California, Baba had told us he would break his silence there in July, and this event would be the signal for the spiritual awakening which he had been predicting for so many years."
Spiritual quickening.
Quickening, sorry, and I'll read again. Baba told us, sorry, Baba told us he would break his silence there in July, and this event would be the signal for the spiritual quickening which he had been predicting for so many years. We were naturally anticipating this moment keenly because we, as among those close to him, would share in his quickening in a very profound way. This Baba had told us at the time of his first visit, 1931. We gladly believed him. Perhaps he wanted to be relieved of the necessity of further conscious growth, but we were not greatly surprised when he told us there would be a slight postponement. He must first make a hurried trip to China, he told us, and would then return to break his silence in Hollywood Bowl with Mary Pickford to introduce him. How any of us could give credence to this fantastic story, I cannot now imagine. Certainly, it revealed what babes in consciousness we then were. Only too willing were we to be lifted up to the heaven by the bootstraps without further delay. One day in India, years later, Baba laughed as he recalled the picture to us. "Fancy you are believing that story, and I would break my silence over the radio in Hollywood Bowl." But believe it, then we did, and ardently anticipated his return from China. Before leaving with his party, Baba had instructed Malcolm and me to go to France and prepare the ground for his return. Through contacts which we had from our bookshop days, we got in touch with various key people who arranged for us to speak about Baba and tell of his imminent return and breaking of his silence. On precisely the
Nama.
evening, sorry,
Right. ಇಲ್ಲ uncle.
Yeah, yeah. I
Saying
think
Mamaji,
we'll just. Yeah,
Mamaji,
I muted it. Yeah,
yeah, sorry. Uh,
yeah.
uh, I mean, this is really, interesting reading. Anyway, on precisely the evening when we were to attend the largest of these gatherings in Piedmont were derived from power that he was not returning to America, but was proceeding to India and Europe, nor would he break his silence at the time. This, frankly, was a dark moment for us. Within a few hours, we were expected to tell these new friends of Baba's expected return in America to describe the quickening effects upon consciousness which his speaking would initiate for mankind, to proclaim him as a supreme example of godhood worthy of the deepest trust and faith. But in our hearts, dark doubts were refusing to be silenced. We felt like trustful children who had been cruelly deceived. Either he did not have the God knowledge with which he had created him, or he was another of the impostors who posed as advanced spiritual teachers. Either he was deluded or deluding, the rational mind argued and for a few hours held sway. So I take a pause here, Karthik. You know,
Yeah.
he said that he would break his silence on his return, and then he postponed it. So, this gives me one more school of thought that maybe with our uh, ego and the vices which we have, the world was not ready at that point for him to break his silence. Or there is something which was lacking in the world. I mean, for all people put together, that he postponed his breaking of silence. Would that be a good topic for research? Or I don't
No,
know.
actually, I mean, it's a topic for research for sure. Why he did what he did, but my reading is he also used it as a tool to filter the people who so-called called him and called themselves Baba lovers, right? So if you see here, even Jean Adriel, who's such a close Baba lover, says that says rather strong things, right? We felt like trustful children who had been cruelly deceived. And then she goes on, either he did not have the God knowledge with which we had credited him, or he was another of the impostors who pose as advanced spiritual teachers. Either he was deluded or deluding. The rational mind argued and for a few hours held sway. So he was basically, so if there was 20% of the American followers of Meher Baba who felt disappointed with the failure of the Hollywood Bowl breaking of the silence, Baba was actually happy because he wanted to know who's that 20% and who's that 80%. This is my theory, right? So he was constantly trying to use this as a tool to narrow zero in on the real launch. That's it.
What
That's
you
my
say,
personal opinion.
no, no, this is one school of thought. So maybe he was trying to do a dipstick check on whether the world is ready or whatever. He would have had
No,
reasons,
no, no. I'm
but
sure he knew the time. So let's look at it this way. In support of my theory, he knew the time when he had to do it. But why
correct.
did he keep saying what he kept saying? He did that just to filter, is what my feeling.
Yes,
So it's not that the world was not ready. He knew when the world is going to get ready because he's the avatar, right? He doesn't have
agreed.
to announce and
Agreed.
change his mind because he made a wrong judgment. So I think it's like that.
Correct.
If my
Okay.
theory is correct.
No, fair point. But it's still an enigma to me in the sense that
Oh, no
when
doubt.
and
No doubt.
Jay Baba, if I have diverted, I'm sorry, but uh, something very intriguing. I'll continue.
Yeah.
Now, now in retrospect, it is difficult to recapture the agony of soul I went through. But at the time, being a neophyte among Baba's followers, I had not become accustomed to his sudden changes of plan when his inner work demanded it. Even today, after 15 years of close association, I would not attempt to explain why he does and says certain things. Uh, exactly what you said just now. And Mamaji has probably dropped anyway. Once in Keynes, sorry, in discussing a letter which he had recently received, and in which the writer was bewailing the fact that Baba's promises were not materializing according to schedule. He indicated to me that everything he had promised would come true, but in my own time and in my own way. I think that you can underline in my own time and in my
Yeah.
own way.
Yeah. Correct. He has said this many times. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just anybody who reads it, it's okay. Uh,
No, no, I'm saying, I agree with your requirement for, I
Sorry.
mean, I support your comment for underlining this, but I'm saying he has said this many times. And if you see this line in the context of what I was describing a few minutes back, it
Yes, yes,
kind of makes sense. That seems to be a logical explanation.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I accept that, though it explains nothing to the rational mind. However, the demands of reasoning mind matter less and less as the years pass, whereas the intuitions of the heart matter more and more. But during those dark hours in San Francisco, the claims of reason were very strong. I felt myself insecure in a world where one's given word was so lightly regarded. Surely the word of a God man must be sacred. So I reasoned.
in fact, I recollect in the first year or two of when I first encountered this Baba's breaking of the silence announcements, my reaction was very similar to Jim, right? So I think, hey, this doesn't add up. But then that's what he was wanting. That was my filter point, right? And I fell the other side. I didn't drop off.
Union Trouble. So maybe this is one way of his uh, arousing curiosity, or let's say binding us together.
Correct.
It may he is the highest of the high. He would have reasons you know for doing or not doing something, or the time when exactly he would do it. But this sort of curiosity, uh, you know, deepens our you know our mission that we should be involved in with him. That's how I feel.
Correct.
I mean, it's a personal, my personal thoughts. It's nothing. Anyway, um, please pardon me if I am really diverting from uh, what we are reading. Uh, but as the hours passed, I gained better perspective. I realized that though I could not understand his motive, I knew in my heart that nothing he did was ever prompted by the slightest shadow of self interest, and that his consciousness so far transcended man made ethics or conduct that his words or action could not be judged by our conventional concepts of right or wrong.
Exactly. Brilliant. Continue.
It seems you're already on the path, is what I feel.
I'm just appreciating. Yeah, I'm just appreciating. So you're all on the path.
Then you're probably on a higher rung or ladder.
No, no, no. Doesn't matter.
Anyway, and you got that logical thinking mind,
Wow.
or
The curse of the logical mind, yes.
yes, good, yes. Not the curse, the power, huh?
It is a
Don't
curse.
think.
No, no, it is a curse. Baba says it's useless. Philosophers are useless.
Don't forget that you're also riding the tech wave or whatever. the various disruptive technologies. Anyway, we'll discuss
Yeah.
later on. You please call me. I want to talk to you separately on this enigmatic subject. Baba's
No,
secretary.
out of deference.
Oh, sorry. Out of deference to our hostess and plans she had made, we went to the party that night, but only the following day did we send out word of Baba's change of plans. Overnight, practically all of the newly made friends became ardent enemies. The next day, another cable arrived showing the inner contact which Baba had been maintaining with us. I knew you two would not fail me. Love, Baba. And there's a cross reference 34.
And that's from the book, pages 144 and 146, Gene Adriel's Avatar. Yeah.
Correct. On this enigmatic subject, Baba's secretary Adi shared his views in a letter as follows. Baba may be putting off the breaking of his silence in order to put off those people who might believe in him for merely being true to words rather than for being the one who will give the word in capitals. So that's going to be very significant.
Yeah, the word of the word when he breaks his silence. That's what he means.
Yeah. But the skeptics would believe in Baba because of it, while we believe in Baba in spite of it.
Perfect. Right? But
Yeah.
what I've been saying.
Yes. It whenever God visits Earth in human form as a avatar, he uses human language as well as own language. It is impossible for the intellect to differentiate between the two. However, if his lovers let his statements simmer in their hearts, then the avatar's grace helps them understand what he wishes them to know. Love accommodates contradictions, reconciles paradoxes, and shines forth with a purity which cannot be gainsaid. Once one is blessed with the insight love provides, one's faith in the Godman's divine status is not affected by the intellectual conundrums of others. Karthik, I also think this is a real good uh, definition, or let's say explanation of divine love.
Yeah.
Can, can I read it again and then later on you can please underline
Sure.
this? Uh, because it's a real explanation of divine love I've seen maybe for the first time. Love accommodates contradictions, reconciles paradoxes, and shines forth with a purity which cannot be gainsaid. Once one is blessed with the insight love provides, one's faith in the God man's divine status is not affected by the intellectual conundrums of others. You want to say something on this? It's given a very clear directive that just love him without any reservations.
Yep. Absolutely. So I think if the statement doesn't bother you, his declarations and not adhering to those declarations doesn't bother you, you're already in the state of love that's expected out of Baba. Right? The key thing is like what he said. While we believe in Baba in spite of it, it's also that
Nee,
just like
yeah,
he's done on
Karthik,
the
uh, this definitely I have a conviction, but I don't know whether you've put me on a level which is I don't belong to. I'm a very simple, humble.
nobody
I mean,
knows our inner status.
I
Okay,
don't
so
think
don't worry about it. Baba knows.
any Baba knows. Yes, but and anyway, uh, anyway, thanks for pumping me my ego, but
No, no,
I
that's
don't.
not the intention.
No, no, that's not intention, but it's your love, maybe
Yes,
love and
yes.
affection, whatever it is.
That's it. That's it.
That's it. Thank you. It brings me closer to Baba. That's all. I mean, in my thoughts and words and actions. Anyway, I'm if I'm really today, I'm sorry if I'm uh, deviating. The
Yeah,
entire
let's continue now. Yeah, yeah.
the entire subject of Baba, Meher Baba's silence and his promises to break it so far, far beyond my comprehension.
No, no. So read that again. The entire subject of Meher Baba's silence and his promises to break it is far, far beyond my comprehension.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it is one of the most sublime and subtle aspects of his spiritual work, and that's all I can say. Once, while sitting with a group of his lovers in Guru Prasad, Pune, one of his dear ones said, Baba, some of my friends who are scholars and are really good people with many more spiritual qualities than I have often remark that things do not happen as you say they will. Perhaps this was obliquely referring to Baba's oft repeated promises to break his silence on such and such a date. Baba's eyes sparkled, and with a chuckle he gestured. You know, when I was in school, I was good at all subjects except arithmetic. That must be why I have trouble with dates and years. What a reply! A magnificent Avtaric joke. I am the ancient one. Karthik, would you like to read? I mean,
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
I mean,
Thank you for reading this long. And
I didn't
I
realize.
know, yeah, yeah,
It's
no
very
problem. Thank you. I'll start from this section. It's called I am the Ancient One. PJ. Returning to the morning's program of March 2nd, Baba, after clearing up Annapurnaya's misconception about his silence and its breaking, continued his conversation with his lovers. Again, I tell you, if you want to make Andhra love me and make them feel my love for them, it is in the hands of each of you to do so. This does not mean that you must necessarily work individually. I never meant that. I want each of one of you, I repeat, I want each one of you to be a Baba center. This does not imply that you should only work individually when you can work collectively through Baba centers or as a group. But all the same, remember well that I will have no outer concern with any centers. I have shown you how to work. Now it is all your own responsibility. You may open 100 centers for Baba. It will be your concern, not mine. Know well this much that each one who really wants to work for me should lead the life of Baba's lover, and this will very naturally bring others to me. I want moneyless love, love which does not depend on money for its expression nor expects it as a reward. Remember that although I do not perform miracles, I will give anything to anyone who asks for it from the bottom of one's heart. If I am Baba, I can do anything. Ask wholeheartedly, and you will get it from me. But this I also tell you that the one who asks for my love will be the chosen one. The time is very near when I will break my silence. So from this moment, love me more and more. Don't go in for false propaganda. Pour out without hesitation what your heart feels and your conscience accepts about me. While freely sharing your love for me with others, be unmindful of whether you are ridiculed or honored. I repeat, while freely sharing your love for me with others, be unmindful of whether you are ridiculed or honored. Very, very powerful statement, right? So I'm sure we have all encountered how to share our love Be unhindered, be free, and be confident. And don't mind, because even if you're ridiculed or honored, it doesn't really matter. Do
Partly, you
not
can
over.
sorry, you can read that first two lines also. That's quite a message in that. Don't go
Yeah.
in.
Don't go in for false propaganda. Pour out without hesitation what your heart feels and your conscience accepts about me. While freely sharing your love for me with others, be unmindful of whether you are ridiculed or honored. Do not overrule your conscience and do not exaggerate merely for the sake of propaganda. If your conscience says Baba is the avatar, say it, even if you're killed for it. But if you feel I am not that, then say honestly, Baba is not the avatar. Do not fear, but be prepared to honestly say out what you feel. From my own experience, I tell you again and again, I am the ancient one, the highest of the high. Wow. This is all very, very powerful statements, right?
Absolutely, it's very powerful, and it's as he says, he awakens us. I
Correct.
have come.
When Baba reaffirmed his status as the ancient one, he gracefully spelled out these words on his board with a casual matter of factness. For most in the hall, his statement seemed most natural. Baba's presence was so majestic, so overwhelming, that his declaration, I am the highest of the high, only reconfirmed what the hearts of his dear ones had already felt. It was truly an indescribable moment in the hall. And with this divine reassurance, the meeting came to an end. The second meeting of Baba with his workers had lasted for approximately an hour. At its conclusion, Baba returned to his room and sat outside in a chair. Soon, the boys from the Gurukul spotted Baba and started gathering around him. Baba got up and started throwing apples to them, and soon there was much merriment as the boys tried to catch the apples which unexpectedly came winging to them. Baba was superb at looking one way and then throwing the apple in the other. Baba then had a photograph taken of himself with the boys and teachers of the Gurukul. An interesting coincidence is that before the serious workers' meeting, Baba on his own went and watched the boys play kabaddi on the playground. After the meetings were concluded, the boys on their own came and watched Baba's game with the apples. Was there some significance to this? Or was it merely one of the little games within the great game he eternally plays with his teammates? He needs none. We need none but him. Meher Baba spent the night of March 1st and early morning hours of the 2nd in the company of his lovers and workers from Andhra, intimately and very frankly explaining to them what he meant by working for him, the real work. Those who were present, as well as those who later read the account of this meeting, tried to gauge the significance of Baba's statements. Each one's understanding depends mainly upon the nature of the person's relationship with and their degree of acceptance of Meher Baba. There is no need to argue about anyone's perspective, for everyone's journey to Baba, the ocean of love, is a personal concern between the individual and the eternal beloved, the avatar. In Baba's all forgiving love, however, I dare to share some of my thoughts on work to prompt others to have their own. As I look back and recall the proceedings of that unique meeting, sometimes the memories of Baba's flashing eyes and the graceful smile that often swept over his face reduce my careful calculations, logic, and interpretations to naught. Eventually, though, the mind begins to function and ventures to fathom the meaning of Baba's words. To me, working for Baba means to avail oneself of the compassionate chance that he has offered us to set ourselves free from the bindings of our emotions, thoughts, and actions. To do anything with love, with the warmth of sharing, his message of truth links one with Baba's divine presence. Gradually, this link begins to operate through all the events of everyday life, both big and small. As one's heart opens up more and more to Baba, instead of feeling proud about one's deeds, even when others regard them as great, one feels indebted to Baba for the opportunities given by him to participate in his cause. Baba's perennial work is to release each one of us from the limitations of the finite self. Our work for Baba is to bind ourselves more and more to Him, the eternal, infinite self. Thus, our occupation should be to make room for Baba within ourselves, letting Him flood our beings with His sanctifying presence. This is a quiet act of sacrificing our selfishness at the altar of the infinitely selfless one, Meher Baba. Hence, our work, or rather our part within His work, is a private affair of pleasing Baba, of surrendering to Baba with no expectation of appreciation from others.
Jai Baba Karthik, can you read that again? There's a
Very,
message
very
in this.
beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's a message that we should dissolve all feelings of ego or whatever.
Yeah.
We have that. We have feeling that we are close to Baba. I think we can read it again.
Baba's perennial work is to release each of us from the limitations of the finite self. Our work for Baba is to bind ourselves more and more to Him, the eternal, infinite self. Thus, our occupation should be to make room for Baba within ourselves, letting Him flood our beings with His sanctifying presence. This is a quiet act of sacrificing our selfishness at the altar of the infinitely selfless one, Meher Baba. Hence, our work, or rather our part within his work, is a private affair of pleasing Baba, of surrendering to Baba with no expectation of appreciation from others. In the mid 1930s, beloved Baba once conveyed to his early group of Western disciples one simple sentence which explains both the divine and human sides of his work. He stated, "My work is the realization of my biggest self in all creation." So, our work, with Baba's grace, will eventually end with the annihilation of the worker, the finite self, in the ever active infinite consciousness, the Avatar. Beautiful. This does not mean, however, that there is no scope for individuality in our work. I am reminded here of an incident which I had heard from Pandoba, one of the Mandali who stayed with Baba in the mid 1920s. He recalled that once during a general discourse, Baba remarked, "If anyone were to please me with a sweet, melodious bhajan, I would bless the person in a special way and he will reap immense spiritual benefit." One of Pandoba's friends gathered from this casual comment of Baba's that the easiest way for him to win Baba's grace would be through singing. Although nature had not gifted him with a sweet voice, he wanted to take advantage of this hint from Baba as it seemed to promise a shortcut to spiritual progress. So each night, when the other Mandali had gone to sleep, he used to practice his singing. One night, on some pretext, Baba was walking around Lower Mehrabad and was surprised to hear some discordant notes emanating from the higher realms. from a field in the distance. Baba quickly walked over and found this dear one singing for all he was worth. The man was surprised to see Baba at that unexpected hour and bowed down to him. Baba gestured. What are you doing here? The man shyly replied that he was trying to learn how to sing well. Why? Asked Baba, and the man related the whole story. Baba smiled in appreciation of the intent, but went on to explain that whatever one does from the bottom of one's heart in the service of the Master is nothing less than a song. He asked the man to discontinue his singing venture and simply be more diligent in the duties already given to him by Baba. Our work then is to discover our own way of singing Baba. Paradoxically, part of this work involves giving up our earnest efforts and learning to rely completely on Baba to find one's way to Him. This subtle process of self effacement and surrender molds one's relationship with Baba in the way which is most in tune with one's innate nature. One begins to feel not only more at ease with one's self, but also closer to his presence. This awakens in one a secret and poignant longing to be even more aware of him. One develops the voice to sing his praise and the eyes to witness his glory. In this spirit of love, offering flowers is not a ritual. Aarti is not a dry discipline. And prayers can become a genuine means of establishing His presence in our day to day life. When life is lived in this manner, one becomes a Baba center, completely centered in Him. On some occasions, I had the privilege to be present when beloved Baba conversed with groups of his lovers from different parts of India. The gist of what he conveyed from time to time, as I recall it today, is whether one knows it or not, Baba, as the avatar, is in everyone, around everyone, and beyond everyone. And whether one accepts it or not, it is the avatar who, in his timeless love and compassion for all, responds to even the faintest longing for God or call for help. In my own life, I have seen many times, or many, sorry, in my own life, I have seen many times how my efforts to get closer to Baba are the excuses he uses to come closer to me. To be aware of this is to surrender more completely to his will, to depend more wholly on him, and to become a more pliable vehicle for the avatar's work in us and through us. How wonderful it would be to play our parts without self resistance as small passive nothings in the ever active big E everything, the avatar. For his work, he needs none. And for our work, we need none but him. He alone exists.
Can you please go to the last paragraph? I think that
Yeah. The previous paragraph, you mean?
eh, the previous paragraph, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this says whether one knows it or not, till longing for God or call for help. I think that's worth underlining also. Whether one knows
Sure.
it or not, Baba as the avatar is in everyone, around everyone, and beyond everyone. Yeah, I mean, for whatever it's worth, it's the message in that.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this is the last chapter
Oh,
in this volume. So, yeah, we will continue on and go to the glorious Andhra Darshan tour ends 1954, part 12. Subtitle is So Many Seek, So Few Find. On the morning of March 2nd, after an extemporaneous after an extemporaneous and lively game of catch with the boys at the Gurukul, Meher Baba was ready for house visits. The impact of the previous night on me was so great that I could hardly recollect the details of what had transpired at the meeting. I was simply gratefully aware that Meher Baba had spent the night with us and we with him. To be in the Avatar's presence for such a long time at one stretch was a rare privilege. It was only later that I began reflecting on Baba's message and its meaning. On the morning of the second, however, only his words, "Love me, I am the ancient one," kept beating in my heart. To me, these words were not just abstract philosophy or coldly intellectual, they had a warm appeal, even as they challenged my love. What else was there to remember? Ever since Baba had entered Andhra, he had been hinting at the importance of the workers' meeting that he wanted to hold at the end of his tour. Perhaps this was one of the main reasons for his visit. Be that as it may, at the end of these meetings, Baba seemed relaxed and in a happy mood. Around 10 that morning, he visited the home of N. Dharmarao, an executive engineer who had been tirelessly driving Baba throughout his Andhra tour. Baba then visited the homes of Jyoti Prakash and the Pillai family. At each place, Baba was garlanded and Aarti performed. At Pillai's house, his two daughters, Meera and Veena, were also there. Meera was weeping bitterly, but that seemed to ease the pain of her aching heart and perhaps made the impending parting from Baba more tolerable. Baba compassionately embraced her, consoling her with his touch. Veena, on the other hand, seemed to be in high spirits, her face beaming with joy because her beloved Baba was in her home in person. After these three visits, Baba returned to the Gurukul where Bullaya approached him with a visitor's book for him to sign. Bullaya told Baba that last year's flood had washed away the previous book, so Baba would be the first entry in the new book. Baba smiled and gestured a few words which Erich wrote down. Baba then took the pen and made just a little mark on the page as a token of his signature. Baba then sat outside his room and all gathered around him. People began singing, Namo Meher Baba, Avatar Namo. Our loving salutations to Avatar Meher Baba. This evoked a mood of deep reverence and love for Baba. But this enchanted time of sitting in Baba's divine presence passed all too soon. At one, Baba left Rajamundry for Kakinada. Baba made several stops en route. The first was at Tapeshwaram, where Baba gave darshan at the Theosophical Lodge. Here, he gave a special message from his board, which Erich read out in his loud, clear, flowing voice. I am the one so many seek and so few find. No amount of intellect can fathom me. No amount of austerity can attain me. Only when one loves me and loses oneself in me am I found. This love must be so honest that not only should others not know about it, but you yourself should not be aware of it. One of the divine aspects of God is infinite goodness, and so do good, but without expecting any appreciation for the same from any quarter. Baba gives his blessings to all. These few words seem simple, yet have great meaning to them, for they amount to a declaration of Baba's being the Ancient One, eternally available to all. Regardless of one's worldly position, any attempt to love God is answered directly by the Ancient One. When someone asked Baba for his blessings, he gestured, "My blessing is in the prasad. If people take it with love, it will go deep down into their hearts. Without love, all messages are empty talks." The next stop was at the village of Alamuru, where the host wanted to serve Baba and party with tea and coconut water. Baba, who was a quick wit, looked at the mandali with a smile and gestured that they could have one or the other, but not both. After an hour's program, Baba's car was speeding once again toward Kakinada, but there were two more stops before he reached there. First, at Mandapeta, which was about half an hour's drive from Alamuru. Baba glanced lovingly at those assembled with his luminous eyes and dictated a short message on his board. Whether rich or poor, big or small, high or low, literate or illiterate, all of you can have me. If you love me as I ought to be loved, you will find me as your own self. Baba's visit to Mandapeta was very brief, and within 10 or 15 minutes, he drove off to Ramachandrapuram. There was a short darshan program here at which K. Shastri gave a talk in Telugu on beloved Baba and his message of love. At its conclusion, Baba added, "God is not to be preached, but to be loved. And only those who live a life of love can know me as the Ancient One." These last three stops were unscheduled originally, but Baba spared a few moments to answer the call of his lovers at each place. Baba left Ramachandrapuram around 5 in the afternoon and arrived at Kakinada at about 7 that evening.
Jai Baba Karthik, the previous paragraph also has, he has told that earlier also, whether rich or poor,
Yeah, it's a very common Bible.
he's told this many times. Just love me.
Yes, yes. Next section, an offering that begets pride defiles love. An offering that begets pride defiles love. During this darshan tour, Baba lovers tried to reserve for Baba a house in a semi-secluded location at each place he stayed. They knew this was Baba's wish, and so at Kakinada, they had arranged for Baba to stay at Y.V. Narasimha Rao's bungalow on the outskirts of town. Baba's car drove straight through the city until it reached the bungalow, which the family had vacated for Baba's stay. But Baba did not go inside. He sat on the ground in front of the house and waited for the mandali. Our bus had broken down a little before the end, and all had to walk the last furlong or so. Traveling with the avatar was simultaneously difficult and easy, exasperating and delightful, but it ever remained a cherished longing of his lovers to have the opportunity to journey with them. After being greeted by Narasimha Rao's family, Baba told us all to leave and to be at his place the next morning by 7 a.m. sharp. We retired to our quarters, which were in a building not far from Baba's. Accordingly, the next morning, March 3rd, all assembled, and Baba, as was his habit, asked various ones how they had slept the previous night. All seemed to have slept well, which was not too surprising considering how little sleep any had the previous night. Some of the local people came that morning for Baba's darshan and were introduced to him. Baba then gestured that he wanted to visit the homes of his lovers and workers. The first home visited was that of E. Satiraju. There is an interesting story connected with Satiraju's acceptance of Baba as the avatar. Some 15 years earlier, in 1938, S. Raju had met a saintly person named R. Gangaram. This pious, God loving person initiated S. Raju in a special path known as Surya Upasana, worship of the sun. He taught him to meditate on Lord Vishnu, visualizing him centered in the sun. After some days, S. Raju could hear celestial music during his meditation, and sometimes he could feel his kundalini coiled at the base of his spine slowly rise toward the center situated between his eyebrows. This experience, a deep peace would envelop him. He was therefore content with his spiritual practices, and even after hearing of Meher Baba from some people, was not particularly interested in him. Two events, however, in January 1952 made him change his mind. On January 2nd, R. Gangaraju, whom he considered his guru, passed away. And then 10 days later, while traveling by train to Madras, a curious yet significant coincidence occurred. He was talking to a friend who happened to be a follower of Sai Baba. This friend mentioned that he had recently heard of a man named Dr. Dhanapati Rao was telling people that Meher avatar of the age. When the train pulled into the station at Tadepalligudam, two men approached the compartment where S. Raju was sitting. One got in and sat down next to him. This was why Rangarao, while the man who had come to see him off was none other than Dr. Ganapati Rao himself. Rangarao gave S. Raju a booklet on Avatar Meher Baba, which he happened to have with him, and told him, without mincing any words, that Meher Baba was the Avatar. S. Raju heard all this with interest but was not drawn to Baba. Later that year, however, he happened to meet Dhanapati again and was given a copy of The Perfect Master, The Life of Sri Meher Baba, to read. This book greatly interested him, and he began to show a genuine interest in Baba, and so he was invited to attend a 3-day Sahwas program at Mehrabad in November 1952. During this meeting, he felt the loving warmth of Baba's presence, and all the bits and pieces of his life seemed to fall together to make a perfect Baba design. His eyes shone with ecstasy, and as he looked at Baba, a few tears coursed down his cheek. Later he wrote, at the first sight of Baba, I forgot myself completely, and my joy knew no bounds. He and Dhanapati garlanded Baba with two beautiful chilki tinsel garlands. To his surprise, although many garlands were offered to Baba, he seemed to prefer wearing only the garlands that he and Dhanapati had offered to him. On the last day of the Savas, S. Raju whispered to Dhanapati that they were most fortunate as Baba had used only their garlands during their 3 days. Perhaps there was not just gratitude, but a little pride as well in this observation. For as Baba left the hall on the last day, he went straight to where Muhammad the Mast was waiting for him. Baba handed him the two garlands, caressed his face, and then went away. As soon as Baba left, Muhammad took the garlands and crushed them into pieces between two stones. S. Raju felt that Baba was teaching him a direct lesson. The love with which the garlands had been presented was pleasing to him. But the pride generated in their hearts by his acceptance of that love offering was not. Wow. Baba's guidance through such personal experiences is heart penetrating and lasting too. In one of S. Raju's later visits to Baba, in a very offhand manner, looking at him, Baba gestured, I am the spiritual son. As Baba made this comment, the veil over his face seemed to thin for an instant, revealing a little more of his luminous effulgence. Perhaps for many there, statement was significant in itself, but for S. Raju, it had a special meaning. It confirmed to him that Baba knew all about his old spiritual practice of meditating on the Lord centered in the sun. Baba's casual comment strengthened S. Raju's conviction in Baba's omniscience and reassured him that Baba had been guiding his life even before he had heard. Even today, Baba continues to give such reassurances to his lovers who, like sunflowers, continue to turn to him, the spiritual sun. During Baba's short visit to S. Raju's house on March 2nd, 1904, he touched a pair of silver sandals with his feet at S. Raju's request. Similarly, at the home of V.V. Narayana Rao, Baba touched a pair of silver sandals as a gesture of his love for Narayana Rao. These sandals were then kept by the two men as sacred mementos of the visit to be treasured forever. Baba visited 17 homes in all, including the homes of M. Annapurnaya, the editor of the Velugu paper, and M. Tirumal Rao, who later translated Godspeeds into Telugu. In each house Baba visited, he created a special atmosphere of intimacy. Each home has a heart stirring story to be told of Baba's love, but it seems practical to relate only what transpired in a few of these visits. 1 second. Yeah, so that's fine. We have enough pages. So I'll continue on page 270. Baba asks questions. Oh, I think we stop here. It's 8:57. So we'll probably stop on page 269 and we can continue from there. Any thoughts before we wrap up, Shokji?
Yeah, it's very intensive reading and uh, lot of insights into what Baba means when he says, "Just love me." Just
Yeah,
nothing, just just pure divine love. Is what I take
correct.
away from today's session. It is there. It is conveyed earlier also, but that's what is very significant in today's reading. Thank you. And
Thank you.
I think Mamaji
And
dropped off.
yeah, Mamaji dropped off. So maybe he will catch up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Convey my to him when you meet him. Talk to him.
sure. I think we need more than a week. Oh, no. I think we will finish it next.
Yeah, yeah. Finish it. It's your call.
Yeah.
That's have you finished the reading so and can start with a new book, a new volume.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Thank you very
So
much. Have a
before you,
great weekend and catch up with you tomorrow.
so you don't
Jai
want to
Baba.
finish this, don't want to finish this
What is that?
part. I thought you wanted to finish this part.
No, 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 no. It's a very big part. There's at
Oh,
least
okay.
25 pages left,
Okay,
but
okay, okay.
then we'll stretch and finish it next.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Uh, Sounds like a good plan. Thank you.
Jai Baba, Jai Baba. Thank you.
Jai Baba. Have a good weekend. Jai Baba.
You too. You too. Thank you.